Hello and welcome to this special Spring Festival edition of Dialogue, a symphony of tradition and innovation. The Spring Festival is China's warmest landmark etched into the Chinese cultural DNA. It is also a tradition quietly transforming before our eyes. The aroma of New Year's Eve dinner now travels through video calls. Financial blessings are carried by digital red envelopes with the tap of a finger, and the roar of firecrackers has given way to light shows that are dazzling but silent. Well, the forms may be changing, do the deeper meanings remain the same? When this traditional holiday encounters digital technology, green values, and global trends, is it being diluted or is it finding new vitality? Join us for our special discussion today from Beijing. I'm Xu Qinduo. Joining me are Angela Li, head of LSE China Forum, Zoon Ahmed Khan, research fellow from the Center for China and Globalization, Karim Alwadi, entrepreneur and international relations scholar, and Mario Cavolo, author, founder, and CEO of M Communications Group. Welcome to the show. I will start with Angela. I think all of you actually have lived in China for many, many years. You basically have cultural experience, not only, of course, of yours, but also the Chinese, in particular Spring Festival. But we are talking about the evolution, the changes, the shifts of the practice. So, Angela, what's your observation?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me, Qinduo. I'm wearing red as Spring Festival is nearing, and thinking about the evolution, I've lived in China, in Vancouver, in London, but during my time in China and but also in Canada and London, whenever the progression, I think, especially in this 5 to 10 years, you can see the difference. I would say it's from ritual heavy to something that's more meaning driven. So before, my family would really focus on the lavish gatherings and materials, on having big family dinners. But right now, I think we're seeing the changing to small gatherings, to more time with family, with friends, to quality time, to emotional connection. So I think it's that movement from material to something more concrete, to more emotional connection. That's something I observed in both Beijing, but also overseas, Qinduo.
Yes, of course. We are seeing more and more tech elements. We are also seeing the values of basically so-called green values. You see in the Chinese media, the governments basically are have been calling people to to save the energy or to reduce the waste. For example, the ban of firecrackers. But anyway, Zoon, you are the daughter-in-law in the Chinese family. So over the past years, anything changing you are noticing?
Well, I have to, obviously, I've actually lived in Beijing for over a decade now, and I've been a Chinese daughter-in-law for 2 years, almost 2 years. So, my experience as being part of a Chinese family is fairly recent. I think over the decade, for me personally, Chinese New Year has been about community. And I think it's also been about, coming together. It reminded me a lot of Eid, and also, globally people understand the holiday Christmas. So I think that was always the association while I was living here. And with my own Chinese family, we celebrated in my husband's village in Anhui a few years back. And that's really the tradition, to come together, immediate family, have good food, spend quality time, just be able to, be carefree and relaxed for that time being. But I would say that over 10 years, I've also noticed a lot more people abroad are familiar with Chinese New Year. And every time, this time around the year, WhatsApp groups that I'm in from family, whether they are in Pakistan or the US or other parts of the world, the light shows from China are going viral. Chinese traditions, different videos of young people vlogging their experiences of Chinese New Year, wearing more traditional clothes. I think that's become more trendy among young people. All of that is going more viral. And I think the impact of Chinese New Year as a coming together, of family, respecting tradition, being associated with warmth, with people you're close to. I think that impact is going increasingly more global with digitization. More and more people also know about the Chinese New Year Gala. I know that before it was all about, people sitting and watching it. Now they're able to interact online, which is exciting. But also videos of the gala are going viral in many other countries. And I feel that's also a big change, apart from, people being more conscious about, for example, firecrackers, sending red envelopes online. But I think what I've really seen in the past decade is how much more global the impact has become. And in terms of immediate families, how much more intimate these gatherings are and how much more valuable they've become in a very fast-paced life.
Mm-hmm. I know for a lot of Chinese, these virtual reunions have become a new tradition for many families because usually, parents stay in one city, kids, they work or study in another city. So, sometimes because of work, because of whatever reasons, they cannot have this family reunion. So they have to achieve such a reunion through video, like a conference or videos, live streaming. If you have families at the different cities, different parts of the world. Maria Cavolo, is that also a kind of like experience? Are you also observing the practice, by families or by friends? Mario?
Qindua, for me, it's all about family and friends. This Chinese New Year is going to be exactly experiencing this digital technology. I'm shooting a movie this month. I was informed down in Guangzhou, and as you know, I'm with my family here in Shenyang. My wife, this is my wife's hometown, here with grandma and our son. I mean, it's great. We're family together, but not this Chinese New Year. I was just informed by the production team that we're shooting straight through the holiday, right through Chinese New Year. So I'm going to be that digital guy doing the live streaming and doing video with my family for Chinese New Year. So I have to say, isn't that amazing that you can do that, right? To have good old, WeChat video. Wow. Bringing people together when they are going to be far away from each other. I'm going to experience it this year. It's wonderful. It's great for people. So many think of, I'm doing this kind of work, but look at anybody in the same position as me. What we would call the migrant construction workers far away from home. They can't make it back, but they can be on video with their families. That really helps a lot. We're good with it. We're excited about it. It's going to be fine. And that being able to do that, Shupin, Dianhua Shupin, is an amazing innovation. And it brings us closer together at a time when we otherwise would really be apart.
Karim, as an entrepreneur and of course, a foreigner, son-in-law in China, you also have a Chinese family here. What are your observations, in terms of your own compatriots, people from the Arab world living in China? How do they celebrate the Spring Festival?
Well, actually, this year is special for me personally because it marks my 25th Chinese New Year spent here in Beijing. So I've witnessed a massive transformation over those 2.5 decades. What strikes me most is how this festival has managed to modernize, I think, without losing its soul. We moved from simple celebrations to a high-tech integrations. But I think yet the core, the warmth remained the same. So that's my observation.
Share with us, you talk about, changes and also what remains unchanged. The part, you saw that, in probably in the evolving or evolution, technology, go green, and also the part that remains unchanged, the essence of Spring Festival.
I can tell you an example of, I need to go to Dubai on February 14th for business, but I'm obliged to be back on the 16th afternoon at 4 p.m. because what we call it here, Nian Sanshur, that's basically Eve,
right? Yeah.
And it's very important, especially I'm a father of 2 Chinese citizens. So I need to be here personally to actually also embody that in my kids. So when we are old, so they are also back, how important is your business, you are back to be with the family, because Chinese New Year is all about family. And it is basically, the way I see it, it is the time where the family spent quality time together.
Angela, you agree? It's all about the family. And so what about your family reunion?
Thank you for asking, Chindo. And I gotta say, I'm on the same common ground as Karim. It's actually my first year since moving abroad that I'm spending Spring Festival here in Beijing. So it's my first year since many, many years. I forgot. So it's a very special moment for me and my family as well, because as we talk about digital technology, I gotta say, for the past, 5 to 10 years, I've been FaceTiming with my family every time during Spring Festival. So having that human gathering, obviously the phone, it's convenient, but then, having that human physical gathering and making dumplings together, cooking hot pots together, it just feels very different. And I think talking about change, obviously with modernization, with technology, it just makes connection, emotional connection, it makes human connection easier. But then what stays the same, I think, is that is the same sort of connection that we share with our families. The warmth, the celebration, the end of year reflections, and also embracing and being grateful about having each other. I think that stays the same across cultures, but especially during this Spring Festival season.
Mm-hmm. What about the red envelopes? Is that a real red envelope?
Well, okay, this
digital.
I gotta say. Yeah, this is something I'm looking forward to as well, having physical red envelopes and having able to count the money instead of just, passing the phones around and clicking the sort of 抢红包, you know what I'm saying? You're literally competing for red envelopes in your family group chats. So I think this year is going to be different as we're preparing physical red envelopes. Something I'm also looking forward to, but we'll keep it quiet.
Yeah, that's right. Zoon, I mean, you have been to Anhui, a small village in Anhui. I guess there, firecracker is also, I think it is allowed, not unlike in Beijing, in big cities, they are not allowed, for the sake of having less pollution. How is it different, the experience in Beijing and in Anhui, for example?
Oh my God, it was mind-blowing. We actually, it was 3 years ago, Chinese New Year, that we spent in Anhui. And it was very different from also the celebrations we have of Eid in Lahore, because again, we don't do firecrackers anymore. And they had fireworks, they had these all different types of fireworks. My father-in-law, he drove to the city to bring different types, and then we had, we would have tea and food and then come back for a new kind of firecracker. So that was very interesting. And then my sister-in-law also bought me and herself like these loungewear, which are very traditional Chinese. And I had never seen anything like that before. So it was really like, transporting into a very traditional, like maybe decades ago, how people would celebrate in a very cozy way. So yeah, that was a very, very fascinating experience for me. Mario and others also mentioned that the spirit of that warmth, of the importance of family, of reflecting, how this year has been, and knowing that, at times in the rat race or the fast pace of big cities, you might feel alone, or you might feel, things are probably going in uncertain directions. But when you come together with the loved ones that have been with you, that are, here with you in the long haul, I think that moment is very important for especially a very fast modernizing society. Young Chinese people, like my husband's nephew, he's almost 20 years old. He's as excited about Chinese New Year as my husband was when he was his age, because the trends have, moved forward to include them. And another good thing is that in our family, we still do the physical hongbao. So I think that's also, somehow, that's keeping that tangible feeling of getting a hongbao present. But at the same time, generations coming together, 3 generations in our case, and really reflecting on, what life is about and making it more meaningful for each other. I think that's the most important thing about Chinese New Year.
A good point, it's a family value and the reunion. But of course, the concern some people have is, with the modernization progress, whether somehow the essence of the New Year, the Spring Festival, being diluted, or are we catching up, or are we somehow the spirit being revitalized or even strengthened with the progress of technology, with the modernization?
The word that bothers me, that I would be more concerned about, and I don't see it happening, is the commercialization of the holiday. That would be bad, right? If there's too much commercialization of everything, like, for example, back in the West, I'm from the United States originally. I'm an Italian American, and shopping became the very, very commercialized. Christmas got commercialized all the way back to where Christmas didn't begin December 1st. Then they pushed it back to where, Christmas even began promoting shopping right after Thanksgiving Day. And it was all about the shopping, and it became too commercialized and this kind of thing. Fortunately, I don't sense that happening regarding Chinese New Year. Mm-hmm. Chinese New Year is go home. That's the rule. It's just right. You need to be with your family, and that's the main thrust of Chinese New Year. And then in terms of modernizing, yes, here in Shenyang, downtown on the Huinnan River, you've got Qingdian Dachao, and then you've got Changqing Dachao. And so what's going on now? The city government has arranged these amazing controlled fireworks displays over the river, or the drone shows. There's your modernization right there. I wouldn't call that commercialization. I think it just makes it all better and more wonderful.
Karim, you have been here, as you said, 25 years. You witnessed the changes, all the changes. And let's say, Go Green, for example, the ban of the firecrackers, it was kind of controversial in some cities. But gradually, people do accept that. People say, oh, there's a lack of the sense of the Spring Festival because of the lack of firecrackers. But of course, we live in big cities. We can't do that anymore. So do you see this kind of, like the change? How do you cope with that kind of change?
Very soon, future, that you will create something as unique, as loud, but also environmentally friendly firecrackers. Generally speaking, with innovation, it adds a layer of excitement. As long as technology, it facilitates rather than replace, the rituals, I think it keeps the festival fresh for the younger generation, which is, I think it's important. It's all about family. It's all about family and friends and getting, revive your relationship.
Angela, you lived in different places, in Canada, in the UK, in China. Do you also notice the increasing understanding, by other countries, people from other countries, understanding of the Chinese Spring Festival?
Yes, and I think this question is really essential. Thanks to social media and connecting to a very recent trend on TikTok, actually, is that quote unquote being Chinese, you see a lot of foreigners beginning to realize the essence, the beauty of hot water and having some ginger tea during the winter. So I think, thanks to social media, it's the same logic with Chinese New Year, that we're able to share the essence of gathering, of, staying home with family, the intention and the spirit. And you realize that as you share these across different social media platforms and people-to-people communications, you realize that many celebrations and cultures throughout the world, we share a core thread, which is harmony, which is gathering, which is reflection, which is the tradition. And in Vancouver, in London, as you may know, Qingduo, there is a large Chinese, Canadian, and Chinese British community. And with that community, it's not isolated. They bring their foreign friends, and even some communities, they have, a Chinese husband or a foreign wife, or vice versa, etc. So I think that with cross-cultural understandings and cross-cultural interactions, this is on the people-to-people side, of course. The New Year spirit is just going to emerge and going to spread, and with technology, the impact is just exponentially spreading. So positive signs, really, on both what I'm seeing in both international cities.
And also, Zoon, of course, you are having this International Spring Festival back in Lahore. And so I think, in a sense, it's just, this is the common value of a human being, right? Family, and also seeking good luck and reunion, and also renew, the Spring Festival. We are celebrating the arrival of the spring, starting of the new year.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so
Absolutely.
either in Lahore, Anhui, Beijing, I would say more or less that's the same. That's the essence, and that's something probably remaining unchanged and renewed every year.
I think also, like Angela mentioned, it's becoming more global. And as I also mentioned, although the adrenaline of real firecrackers is something else, I have to say, 3 years ago in Anhui, I loved that experience. But when it's being replaced by drone shows and light shows, I think that it showcases Chinese technology. It showcases Chinese aesthetic, and that is also making it's making people globally also pause and realize, okay, this is a big festival happening, and then understand what it is really about. So I think you're absolutely right. The values are universal. And I think where we are heading towards now is that Chinese New Year, like Christmas, has been a global holiday, right? I agree with Mario. We don't want it to be as commercialized and just about buying things. But if Chinese New Year becomes increasingly popular, as we are seeing the trend, it is also, an opportunity for people globally to pause and think about, wow, this is a culture. These are traditions that we want to be more familiar with. This is, a big country, and I know that across the world, Chinese New Year is celebrated by Chinese communities and others. So the popularity of Chinese New Year is also very important, especially, I'll come back to a very boring Goji Guanxi topic, but I feel like China is being, demonized so much by certain media outlets and by certain leaders and by certain people, that when the Chinese people, show this cultural confidence and show the warmth, the love, the, how important family is and how much history they have through the festival, I feel like that also breaks a lot of negative stereotypes. And it is increasingly making younger people across the world curious about what China really is about. So I think, apart from, the fact that it's a holiday that brings people together, that can be celebrated across cultures, like ourselves. My husband's Chinese and I'm not a Chinese, but, this is becoming a core holiday for us. But beyond that, I feel like it can also do a lot for people to be more inquisitive about what Chinese people are really about and learn more about this country.
Mm-hmm. Well, Mario, with this Spring Festival, are you maybe noticing like a growing attention probably being paid to how Chinese people do during this most important festival and how they celebrate their achievement, and looking forward to the new year and what to expect out of the next 5 or 10 years, things like that. So this is kind of like a ripple effects, international effects there.
I'm so happy to say that, internationally, we can't deny that China is right in the front on the world stage now. Let's be frank. In so many ways, this is China's century. We've heard people make that comparison. The period from the 1400s to the 19th century was Europe's time, and then from the 19th to the next century, or I should say 20th century through the next century, the 21st century was America's time, and now this is China's century. I think it was Jim Rogers who first made that comment. Well, look, it's true, and they've done that in peace. Very important point. They've done that in peace, and they've done that at a time when social media has opened up the entire world 24/7 to seeing whatever's happening all over the world. So here's China rising up, And then you've got China's annual, incredibly wonderful and important New Year festival that is centered around family, has been for decades, even centuries. And even now in 2025, 2026, and Manian Baofu, right?
Year of horse, yeah.
Let's be rich in the year of the horse, in the coming year of the horse. Still, it's all about those family traditions. No matter the modernization and the innovation that's come, it's still about those modern traditions. And now we have this extra layer of worldwide social media, which is able to bring all this to the world. That we have this wonderful Chinese New Year. That China has become the largest safe, stable, civil, and peaceful country on the planet and the world's new global superpower, and has the Chinese New Year. This is our culture. This is what we do. This is who we are. This is how our society is. This is how our families are. This is what we value most. This is the spirit that we bring to the world, and the whole world can see it through social media. That's a great combination.
Yes. Karim, you agree? I mean, this is the time, probably all Spring Festival, the value of the Spring Festival increasingly being recognized, the Chinese culture, which is stressed very much about, peace, harmony, and of course, friendship, stability, etc. I mean, you are familiar with both the Chinese culture and, of course, Arab culture. You see that, kind of increasing recognition?
I mean, it's fascinating to see, first of all, how the Arab community here embracing the Spring Festival. But more importantly, I think, is with the Belt and Road Initiative, you can see now a massive flow of Chinese entrepreneurs and families moving to the Middle East. They are taking their culture with them, and the local Arab communities are really welcoming and participating in this celebration. It's a beautiful two ways, I would say, straight. But most importantly, if you see it, how the Arabs love to, love festivals, right? So we celebrate every festival, like in the Arab world, Muslim world, Christian world, whatever, it's a flower festival, and why not? Let's add the Spring Festival, the Chinese New Year to that. It will be very welcome. But you can see today vividly now in the Arab world, just to give you an idea, this Chinese New Year, I think there will be more or less 500,000 Chinese people in Dubai, in a city which around 3 million people. So Chinese New Year now become actually part of that, integral part of that city celebration. People celebrating, that part. I think it's more and more belongs to everyone who values family and new beginnings. I mean, I can put it in that way.
With that, we are coming to the end of today's show. Many thanks to our guests. You can also watch us on the CGTN app or on YouTube. I'm Xu Qinduo. Thanks for being with us. See you next time, and Happy Chinese New Year.
What's behind the next door? What motivates us to find the truth? To understand the world, we must see it from different angles. Never stop searching. Go deeper. Go further. Be open-minded. Be engaged. Open the door through dialogue, where ideas do matter.